Hello, here is a glimpse at one of our bookshelves with our favorite Pueblo pottery. I've had a number of questions in the past as I've shared photos of this case. The pottery rotates in and out. There's some pieces that are from my personal collection that are favorites and probably will always remain part of the personal collection, but everything else is either part of the gallery inventory or finds its way in and out over time. And I wanted to just kind of zoom in and kind of go row by row and talk about some of these pieces just because I think it's interesting and there's been questions in the past, so this might be fun for some of you to take a closer look. Why don't we start here on the upper left. On this shelf on the far left, we have a really unique piece by Dominique Toya from Pueblo. She's well known, of course, for her swirl designs, for her mica, and for the carved ribs. This particular piece is kind of a box design. You can kind of see it's got a four-sided quality to it. A lot of nice red polish and just a really unique, neat, kind of fun piece that we've had in the gallery. And boy, you know, Dominique left a real impact on the world of contemporary Pueblo pottery, and she is sorely missed. To the right, in the center here, is an eye dazzler piece by Frederica Antonio from Acoma, Pueblo. Again, another one of my favorites. Really, they all are, so I could probably say that about every piece in the collection. But if you know anything about Frederica or you've seen her work, then you know that it's unmistakable, and how she does this is just beyond me. These repeating geometric designs all the way around the pot. And I really like the use of the polychrome clay slips that gives a lot of warmth and character to these otherwise black and white pieces. On the right here is just a cute little buffalo effigy, and this one was done by Bernice Naranjo of Santa Clara. Bernice is the mother of Dusty Naranjo and the grandmother of Jonathan Naranjo, both of whom have garnered quite a bit of recognition of their own. So kind of a fun little piece that she gave to me as a gift one year at one of the markets. Love Grandma Bernice. She's a gem, and if you don't have something by her in your collection, you really should. Kind of a living legend and someone who was a pioneer in contemporary sgraffito pottery at Santa Clara. And then down on the next shelf, we have, speaking of Dusty, right in the center there is a piece that has a caribou design. And this was inspired by the years that Dusty spent living in Alaska. And she's got kind of a unique backstory there, and you'll have to talk to her sometime if you have the chance and ask her about her love for Alaska and the way that it's inspired her artwork. On the left, you have a piece by Gary Palaka, the son of Tom Palaka. This is an interesting piece because not only of the shape and design, but the fact that Gary is not a prolific potter. He is an educator by profession and has only produces pottery occasionally in his spare time and hasn't produced anything in many, many years, maybe a decade or more. So if you see something by Gary on the market, grab it, because there aren't many and there probably won't be. To the right here is his, this piece is by his aunt Tonita. That's Tom Palaka's sister, Tonita Hamilton Nampeyo. Of course, the Palakas, and they all descend from Fanny Nampeyo, who was the daughter of the original Nampeyo of Hano, who was credited with revitalizing Hopi pottery in the I guess the 19th century. So that's a migration design, very classic Hopi migration pattern for which her family members are well known. And Tonita was one of the great matriarchs, and her pottery, in my opinion, is second to none. So I'm happy to have a piece of hers back in the collection. As we move down on the next shelf, we've got another Nampeyo right in the center. This is Iris Uvella Nampeyo. This is also one of Tom's sisters, and she was well known for her buffware, highly polished surfaces, in the corn applique designs. Of course, she's of the Corn clan, and so, you know, that is a symbol or emblem that is quite significant to her and her family and shows up prominently in their designs. On the left is a wedding vase by Earl Jackson. And, you know, to be honest, I don't know a lot about Earl other than I know that he was connected to the Naha family in some way or another. And I believe I acquired that wedding vase on a trip when I purchased some other pieces from Rainy Naha, and Earl had just fired that vase, and we picked it up. It's got a little bit of rub on the pigment. You can see maybe on some of the designs that the pigment did not adhere quite as well as maybe we would have liked. On the far right is a piece by Clarissa Tafoya. She's also Santa Clara, and I just think that's a really unique shape. I really like the contrast between the matte surface and the deep carve. It's got a nice high polished finish and kind of a square spout that tapers up around the neck, and then of course the water serpent or Revenue designs all around the surface of that pottery. And as we go down even further, we've got a piece on the left by Deb Clashin, who's also Hopi Tewa, classic Hopi design, nice fire clouds. You can see that rich warm blush resulting from natural sheep dung firing. In the center is a piece, a Santa Clara style, with a bear paw and a Revenue serpent that goes around the top. This piece is by Dean Hongua, whose father, I believe, was Art Cody in Lakota, and Dean's father was married to a Santa Clara woman, and so a lot of Dean's work is influenced by his Santa Clara upbringing. On the right is a piece by Paula Estevan from ACMA, and everybody's familiar with her eye dazzler designs and these checkerboards and some of her vortex pieces. Just really talented lady who is just a real good person and talented artist, and how she is able to accomplish some of these designs is really mind-boggling. So another fun piece by her. Let's see if we can go up the chain here. Across the top, these are mostly personal collection pieces. On the left is a unique piece that I'll have to tell you about some other time. It's got a long story behind it, but something of spiritual significance. It was made by Tom Palaka, and it's got a Hopi priest with you know, the corn stalk in his hand, which is the staff of life, and then the prayer feather sticking up from the ground. And there's a whole story that goes along with that pot, and I'll save it for another time when I can do a 360 and show you all the panels of that pot. You can see a little mud head off to the left-hand side, a storyteller by, I want to say Tony Dallas. I think he's Hopi. And then this piece in the center is, boy, that's a corrugated seed pot by, I think, Garnet Pavatia. The wedding vase in the center here is by Tom Palaka's mother, Fanny Palaka, who we already mentioned. Very unique piece. She wasn't known for making a lot of wedding vases, and probably even fewer pieces with this type of a Thunderbird design on the panel. Lots and lots of migration designs, you know, among the early Nampeo and Fanny Nampeo, and ultimately the Nampeo family pieces. So anytime you see something different like this, it's noteworthy. Lucky to have that. Happens to be made 1975. She signed and dated the piece, which happens to also be the year I was born, so almost 50 years old. In the center is really kind of one of the capstone pieces in my personal collection. It's a pot that I acquired before I ever started buying and selling Native American art more than 20 years ago, and it's based on a pottery that I'd seen in Arizona highways and had fallen in love with, and shown a picture to Tom Palaka and asked him if he could make something similar for me. And he said that he would, but weeks turned into months and months turned into years, and never thought that I would see the pottery that he had promised me until one day he came into the shop while I was living there in Keams Canyon on the Hopi Indian Reservation, and under his arm was a bundle of towels, and as he unfolded the towels, this pottery emerged, and basically he was there to make good on his promise to deliver this impressive jar, which features a red beard long hair kachina with corn stalks in either hand. Of course, again, Tom Palaka being Corn Clan. And behind the long hair kachina, you can see the Dawa, or sun face Katsina, who is also, known as the creator. On the back side of this piece is another Dawa in the sky, shining rays of sunlight down on a Pueblo village, which is kind of interesting. As we move across, there is another wedding vase. This was a gift given to me by Tom and his wife Gertrude. As you may or may not know, throughout Pueblo pottery, husbands and wives often work together, where one of the spouses will actually form the pottery and the other will design. And in this case, Gertrude made most, if not all, of Tom's pots, and he ultimately designed and carved the features. So it's not unusual that they work together on a piece, but this happens to be one of the only pieces that I know of that was ever signed by Gertrude. So unique in that sense that it's signed both by Tom and Gertrude Palaka, and part of my personal collection here. And then just down to the right of that, you'll have to forgive me if I skip over the little black figurine. The name of the artist on that one escapes me at the moment. If I remember, I'll come back. It's a Santa Clara piece with a little, antelope pronghorn dancer there. And I love that piece. I just don't remember exactly at the moment who made it. The one in the center here, this is Marcella Cahey. You probably are familiar with Karen Cahey, Charlie, also a notable Hopi Tewa artist. And Marcella was her mother and passed away a few years ago, but known for her traditional Hopi pottery and highly collectible. Happy to have that small piece of hers in the collection. Up to the right here is a beautiful, highly polished blackware piece by Linda Tafoya Sanchez, also Santa Clara. And really like this piece. It's kind of her what she called a petroglyph design. It's got panels with unique petroglyphs on each side. So there's a bear paw on one, a shrine on the other, insects, water waves, cloud designs, prayer feathers, and so forth. Something else is kind of interesting. I don't know if you can really see it, but you might be able to tell that there's a bit of a scalloped edge on the rim of that pot. So makes that kind of unique and interesting. I really like it. We'll just come straight across and start at the top here. Wow, and I didn't even go to the top of those other shelves, but this one on the left is a tall water jar by Ambrose Atencio. He's from Santo Domingo, and you can really, appreciate kind of that opaque eggshell finish that's on the Santo Domingo pottery. I really like his work a lot, and of course, there are several others whose work is noteworthy from that Pueblo. You've got Thomas Tenorio, Robert Tenorio, you've got Lisa and Harlan, Lisa Holt and Harlan Rayano. Of course, Lisa's from Cochiti, but Harlan hails from Santo Domingo, or Kiwa as they call themselves. And really nice to see clean, classic designs coming out of Santo Domingo. To the right is a piece by Gwen Tafoya, a very classic piece for her. One of the most finely polished pieces of hers I've ever seen. Lots and lots of detailed etch work. It's got rosettes all around with butterflies and hummingbirds, and of course the little coral and turquoise stones that are inset as eyes. And just really impressive in terms of its high polished sheen. The gloss on this piece is really superior, and was probably the reason, well, it was absolutely the reason why we acquired it. It's just one of those pieces that you have to see in person. You have to hold it in your hands to really appreciate the technical expertise required to finish a pot that finely. Coming down another shelf, we've got Tyra Naha, who's the daughter of Rainy Naha, Hopi Tewa, on the left, with a family style design with, the multicolored clay slips, the whitewash, and then also the tumbling birds. And in this case, it features a series of parrots that are rolled over on top of themselves with other traditional symbols and motifs, lots of feather design. In the center is a piece by Dawn Navasi, who unfortunately also passed recently. And whenever I see pieces of hers on the market, I'm always excited because she was very precision oriented, and you can certainly see that in this piece. A lot of really fine detail in the design work in this little cylinder. On the right hand is unmistakably by Eric Fender of San Ildefonso, and I really like his contemporary pieces. I like all his work, but I think the contemporary pieces are pretty innovative. in that they feature a lot of stone inset, shell and stone, like the Haishi beads. And I really like how it's kind of got that wave form all the way around, and inside the wave is the design. And of course, you know, he's got the polished and then the matte surface with the clay slips there. So feather designs with geometrics and dragonflies, kind of a fun piece. Coming down on the left, we have a piece by Calvin Anaya Jr., who's Laguna, and he is the brother-in-law of Steve Lucas, another well-known Hopi potter. And Calvin's sister, Yvonne, is an accomplished potter in her own right. She's married to Steve, and they're an award-winning couple that produces their own pottery. But Calvin is well known for his fine line work and also his marbleized clay. And maybe zoom in a little bit on this if we can, see if you can appreciate those fine lines. Gives you an idea. Of course, Calvin uses the yucca reeds and all of the traditional materials to achieve those designs. Really remarkable. On the far right is Jonathan Naranjo. No one, in my opinion, working in the Santa Clara Sgraffito style is getting the kind of detail and lifelike realism that Jonathan gets in his pieces. And he's quite versatile, and he can move in and out of genres pretty fluidly. He will do Art Deco, kind of avant-garde type of things that have almost kind of a cartoon element, or he will do something really lifelike and realistic, such as these deer that are, you know, kind of wandering through the aspens. And it's flanked on the top and bottom by bands of traditional Pueblo designs. Probably one of my favorite pieces in the collection right now is this piece with the deer. If you've been on our website, you can see a full 360-degree rotation of that piece. It's really fun. Okay, moving on. This one is by, I want to say, Dolores Juanico. Let me take a closer look. Okay, yeah, that's right. Well known for her smaller, almost miniature style Acoma pieces. All of her designs are inspired from historic designs that she's researched. And then she, you know, she'll indicate on each piece what era. So for example, this piece, it says, what, 1870, 1880 is the era that this little Oya is modeled after. And it would have been, you know, obviously a large water Oya that was modeled after, but she produces these little, not really miniature, but smaller replicas of these historic pieces. And I think they're really fun, really neat, kind of nice to have. Very collectible artist to have in your own collection. Now, as we come down on this second to last shelf, we've got another piece by Gwen Tafoya of Santa Clara. This one's a water canteen, again, with the rosettes and fine carving. One of the things that I think is really impressive about Gwen's work is her ability to control the reduction firing so that she gets this gradient tone where, you know, you've got the oxidized black and then you've got, you know, the natural red, and she's able to control her firing in such an impressive manner that she's able to incorporate those design elements into her pieces. So on the right here, we have a rainbow color clay slip, kind of swirling melon by Aaron Cajero from Jemez Pueblo. Another one that's fun to see on the website, or at least I think maybe our YouTube, where there's a 360-degree view. It spins around and just really brings that piece to life. But lots of beautiful shimmering mica in the clay slip here, and Aaron's use of multicolored clay is really fun. So coming down, again, we've got another piece by Paula Esteban of Acoma Pueblo on the right. This one has kind of an interesting lip with those wavy, that wavy rim. Just the design work she achieves speaks for itself. And the piece on the left is by Marilyn Ray of Acoma, and this one is a kind of a flat seed pot with some interesting early Acoma, almost membres, or, you know, people sometimes refer to this old black and white as like Anasazi, which I know is a misnomer, but I just think that her incorporation of different design elements is really unique in this piece. And I love the little applique butterflies whose not feathers, but wings rather, are lifted from the surface of the pot. So, you know, if you've been on our website at all, you've probably seen a lot of these pieces, but I thought it would be fun to just kind of go through and talk about the different creations and the artists that made them, give you a little bit of sense of depth and perspective, a little bit of scale. Maybe you've seen some pieces here in the collection that you haven't seen before. I'll come over here and just try to kind of finish off as quickly as possible. On the right is a little miniature redware by Dominique Toya, also on the website. Just a really fun high polish gem. On the left there, you can see this butterfly piece. That's by Nona Naha, also one of the amazing potters we've lost in the last couple of years. Front and center is a little ornament by Jonathan Naranjo, and in the back there is a tulip jar. You can see the tulip design by Lisa and Harlan Rayano of Cochiti and Kiwa Pueblos, respectively. They're great friends of mine and one of my favorite pottery couples for sure. So across the middle, another little water canteen by Tom Palaka. As you know, I've got quite a few of his pieces. On the far left is Diane Lewis with the birds, and there's different birds on all 4 panels. She's from Acoma, Pueblo. A lot of fine line work there, a lot of colorful clay slips, and just a lot of whimsy in her work, which I really like. To the right of Diane's piece is Mia Tafoya, not Tafoya, Mia Toya, which is Dominique's younger sister, Mia Toya, and that's Maxine's daughter also, Mia, and from Jemez Pueblo, and you can see, you know, that family kind of quality in her piece with the mica, the micaceous clay, and then the swirling ribs and the high polished surface. This one's got a little butterfly lid on top, which makes it kind of sweet. Unique little piece. Mia is an educator by profession and doesn't produce a lot of pottery except for maybe once or twice a year, so we're lucky to acquire that for the gallery. This piece in the center, can't remember the name of the artist off the top of my head. It's a buffalo sculpture in clay by, I want to say, last name I think is Gonzalez maybe? It escapes me, but this one's part of the permanent collection. I wish I could remember everybody's name. I'm getting old, I tell you what, and maybe it's this long COVID crap I've been dealing with because I just don't have the memory bank that I used to. And you would think I would know, like my children, every one of these by heart, and I used to, but I think Father Time is catching up with me, so I'll have to come back to that one. As we come down on the far left, again, there's another jar by Lisa and Harlan. That one's a classic geometric. In the center is a really fun piece by Kevin Naranjo of Santa Clara. This one's got a giant sloth on the front and a woolly mammoth on the back. On our website, you need to see pictures of this one. Really fun prehistoric designs. Had never seen anything like that before when we acquired this from Kevin, and I just always love how the artists are pushing the envelope, trying to think of new ways to express, you know, their cultural heritage. Now, the one here that I'm focused on with the eagle dancer, that you'd probably guess to be a Tom Palaka pot, and you'd be close, but it's actually his daughter Carla Palaka, who's a Nampeyo, but goes by Carla Claw, is her married name. And the eagle boy or eagle dancer was a popular motif of her father, and one that she produced in this jar, which is the reason why we acquired it. Moving on, we have another piece by Linda Tafoya Sanchez from Santa Clara, a beautiful redware piece with classic Avanyu, highly polished, swirling ribs, real collector item right there. Speaking of collector's items, another piece by Kevin Naranjo in the center. This one, boy, you really can't appreciate it because of the glare coming off of this camera, but maybe I can come in and give it a turn. This piece is called the Real Mount Rushmore, and Kevin's known for his wildlife designs, but this cool pot features 4 prominent Indian chiefs around the panel of the pot. And you've got Chief Joseph, you've got Geronimo, Sitting Bull, and Red Cloud, with eagles, hawks, wild turkeys, bison, elk, bear, cougar, you name it, all kinds of interesting wildlife. and then the Pueblo motif with the knife wing designs and the Avanu and all of the details that Kevin's known for. So talk about collector item. I can't think of a piece that's more original, more unique, more impressive maybe than this one by Kevin Naranjo. So again, visit our website, take a closer look at that one. I think you'll be impressed. Speaking of Naranjos, you've got Jonathan Naranjo again, it's graffito style. You'll notice that this is what I was talking about. He can move fluidly from the realistic piece like the deer design you saw earlier to something a little bit more whimsical, a little bit more contemporary with these Pueblo maidens, and there's a little dog here who's off to the right, kind of almost a comic book, comic strip style design work. But it's a classic Taos Pueblo design with the hornos, the ovens, the adobe buildings. I suppose it could be just as easily be Santa Clara as well, but I always think of Taos just because it's that picture postcard kind of image. Moving on, here we have, oh, come on. This one's on the tip of my tongue as well. Let's see, Anita, is it? Or Anna Archuleta, yeah, Anna Archuleta, Santa Clara, well known for her carved ribbed jars. Really classic, simple, highly polished piece. Anna Archuleta, Santa Clara. Moving down another row, and this is going to finish it off with this one and one other. This one is a Wolfpack pottery by Bernice Naranjo, who I mentioned earlier is the mother of Dusty Naranjo and the grandmother of Jonathan Naranjo from Santa Clara. I believe she may have actually been from a different Pueblo and married into Santa Clara. Her husband was Tito Naranjo, I believe, but produces some really exquisite Santa Clara style pottery, and built a name for herself for sure, and has an impressive legacy of potters who have followed after her. Then coming all the way over here to kind of finish things off, at least in terms of this bookcase, is a piece by Jamie Peñetza from Zuni, Pueblo, and we've had quite a few pieces of his in the gallery, and this is the last one I have left. I'm hoping to pick up some more here before too long, but this one's got a real classic water wave, it's a real nice orange clay, high contrast with the wild spinach or beeweed, that black, and then you've got fine lines and really bold cloud designs with geometric patterns. So again, most, if not, well, not all, but most of these pieces are available on the website, where you can get dimensions and pricing, and you can see other images and take a closer look, read more about the artists who made them, and so on and so forth. So real quick, I'll just finish off by touching on a couple of pieces that are up top. Large Oya on the right is by Bobby Silas. This one was a piece that he made for me for a customer. Unfortunately, the clay that he used had some impurities that got through and caused quite a bit of spalling, and the paint and clay started blistering and popping, and so he said, just keep that one as something to show, and I'll make another, and he did. And so he replaced that and let me keep this jar as just an example, which I'm glad he did, because boy, so much time and effort goes into these. I'd hate for it to be a waste. And to the left of that piece is a water jar by Robert Patricio of Acoma, one of the most noteworthy potters from that Pueblo. Also fine line design. You've got the heartline deer. It's kind of a two-tone piece where you've got the deer in you've got a darker orange and a lighter orange, and it alternates as it goes around. You might get a chance to take a closer look at that on our social media. I don't think it's been on the website yet. And then I'd be remiss not to point these out. A couple more pieces by Don Navasi. Both pieces I've had for quite a few years, but both have chips in the rim. One of them, the rims was chipped in shipping. When it was coming to the gallery, we opened it, and apparently the shipper had damaged the piece. And then the one on the top right with the little butterfly, knock on wood, in all the years of dealing with pottery, I've only ever broken one piece myself, on almost 30 years now dealing with pottery, and it was this little piece with the butterfly. I just wasn't paying close attention, and I was putting it back on a shelf, and the lip caught the top edge of the shelf, and it chipped the rim. So I have had that little butterfly by Don Navasi, Hopi Tewa, for many years as part of the personal collection. So I'm going to end it here. This has been quite a long video. Appreciate anybody who stayed through the whole thing and listened to me ramble and rant. Hope you learned something or took something away from this. And I've got other cases and other pieces that I'd like to go through and talk about. We'll save that for another video. In the meantime, give me some feedback. Let me know what you think of these pieces, and if you have questions, or please visit our website at ancientnations.com. Message me directly with questions. Reach out anytime. We've got a phone number posted on our website. You can call anytime, and I love to talk shop with all of our friends and fans and fellow pottery collectors. So take care, and I hope to hear from you soon.